Evening. This is a video on the updates and changes in HCS and Texas Home Living presented by the Willis Group Moving Forward LLC. Today is December the 12th, 2022, and we again are going to be discussing the updates and changes from HHSC to the HCS and Texas Home Living program. So with that, we will start with the purpose. The purpose of the video is, of course, to again discuss the updates and changes by HHSC, how the changes affect the agency and the families that we serve, refresher on HCS and Texas Home Living program and the requirements for host home providers. We're going to dive right into this training because we have a lot to cover. So with that being said, we're going to look at a quick letter from our agency to our families. This letter will be submitted to families via email, and also the information will be sent to families who may not have access to emails. We, of course, want to always provide you with the most up-to-date information as it pertains to Texas Home Living and the Home and Community Based Service Program, HCS. This year, the Health and Human Services Commission has implemented several changes that have changed many things within the program, including but not limited to the handling of COVID-19, service delivery logs, billing and payment, surveys and audits, home visits, and day habilitation services. We will do our best to explain how these changes will affect you and the service that you receive. This is a very fluid situation and could also change as we are recording this information. DayHab in particular in mid-early 2023, providers like us will no longer provide payments or work as closely with and monitor day habilitation facilities. Day habilitation centers will now bill and document through Health and Human Services. We believe that in the annual review of like the IPC that we will still record it on the plan, and this will be the way that units and days are activated and authorized. But this information has not been detailed or provided just yet. So we're simply speculating how this will play out in terms of placing it on individuals' IPC, known as the individual plan of care. What we do know is that day habilitation centers are becoming required to complete a licensing process. They also will have on-site inspections as well as background checks. They will be responsible for submitting billing directly, we believe, to TMHP, but we are unclear how they will start submitting information. What we do know is that providers will no longer bill or pay the day habilitation centers directly. There will continue to be some collaboration in terms of an exchange in paperwork, but there again has not been any concrete information as to what paperwork will be exchanged and how those requests for paperwork will be requested. So, as the information becomes available, we will definitely be communicating with our families on what these changes will continue to look like. We also will stay up to date on which facilities are licensed by HHSC as that information becomes available to us. We are hoping that we will continue to have a provider list of day habilitation centers who have been licensed by HHSC. What we do know is that any facility that wants to become licensed through HHSC should be completing all paperwork that HHSC is requiring, and the deadline seems to be roughly by the end of December 2022 or early January 2023. That is when they are required to submit those, and then, or at least that's the deadline. And then we're not sure how long HHSC is taking to process that paperwork and go out and do on-site inspections. There is more information about what the requirements are located on HHSC's website. The next subject that we want to discuss, of course, is surveys and audits. Surveys and audits are something that can be performed randomly, or they are completed annually by HHSC. That survey looks like an HHSC auditor coming into uh, our office and looking at each file that they have chosen to look at. This is a random process, so they will select random individuals' files to look at. So, Health and Human Services will continue to monitor all providers, including us, but they will actually be taking a deeper look into the accuracy of annual paperwork for continued safety. When providers, so I want to say this, one of the new changes that HHSC has implemented for 2022 in some ways is when they come in and they look at annual paperwork, and that annual paperwork is out of compliance, and that annual paperwork is out of compliance in multiple places or over a period of time, HHSC will start penalizing monetarily providers like our agency for paperwork being inaccurate and incorrect, or not having that paperwork at all. So, again, when providers like us are out of compliance with accurate and timely paperwork, we will become financially penalized. This process is known as recoupment, meaning that HHSC will monetarily fine the agency by recouping any monies paid out for services without proper documentation or accuracy. For an example, if a host home foster parent does not turn in service logs and HHSC asks for them and they are not available or accurate, then HHSC will fine and recoup any monies paid out for that service. So again, I do want to show our families what that looks like when HHSC finds us, as we've had. Again, this is not something that's new. It's new in terms of the annual audits that they do, but it is not new in terms of being able to recoup monies back from agencies. So we do want to share what that looks like so that individuals can have a better understanding of why we would be asking for paperwork that is timely as well as accurate. So in 2019, our agency did have what's called a desk review, and then we got the final information back from HHSC on January 25th of 2021. And as you can see here, at that time, HHSC sent us a letter that was a demand for payment. So that is what this letter is. So from here you can see again that HHSC sent us an email letter, and again it was talking about a billing and payment desk review. And from there we originally was fined or recouped, if you will, $10,481.04. We did argue in reference to that amount, and that amount only decreased to $8,669.87. And so again, this is one of the reasons, or the biggest reason, why when we are asking families in particular for the service logs, it is because if we don't have these service logs, HHSC can ask for them at any time, and if we do not have them, they ask us to pay them back any money that we have paid out to our families. And so back in 2019, they reviewed 17 individuals within our agency, and from those 17 individuals, that is where they looked at who and how we were supposed to pay them back and why we needed to pay them back. And so this is how it looked. They gave us the contract number that person was under, the name of the consumer, their ID number, and what service they had received, along with the dates and a staff ID if that person was using a staff. These codes here in particular, like this one, they're talking about what's also known as CFC. DH, they're talking about day-hab services. And so if you look down, we got fined a whole lot for, or I won't say fined, but recouped a whole lot for people going to day-hab. Now, once we have obviously sent this money out or paid this money to another agency, it is very challenging for us to come back and say, oh, well, you know what, we got fined because your paperwork was inaccurate. We want that money back. They're not going to do that. We also got fined for, let's see if I can take this a little bit slowly. But if you see here, FC, they're talking about foster care. So quite a bit, I can't get this to go slower, but quite a bit we're talking about getting fined for foster care. So for everything that was paid out for foster care for certain individuals or SL, they're talking about people in the group homes. And again, a lot of day-hab. So as you can imagine, we are somewhat happy about not having to deal with the or work really with the day-habs, because we get a lot of day-habs that send us inaccurate paperwork. And so again, a lot of the foster care that we originally had information about was also, we challenged it, and so therefore a lot of the foster care was taken off of this recoupment. But they have under certain individuals. So even now with individuals asking for in-home day have, we are very hesitant to do that because of the need for the accuracy of the paperwork. And with this again being a very ever changing situation, it's a little challenging to agree to do the day have. But in particular, like AA here, these are adaptive aids. A lot of the adaptive aids were also recouped because you're supposed to also have a denial letter from Medicaid before we will pay for adaptive aids. So adaptive aids here again was recouped quite a bit for different individuals. So anything for nursing as well, if they are not accurate notes, then they can come back and recoup those monies back. So as you can see with that grand total here of $8,669.87 at that time was recouped. I so unfortunately we had to basically pay that monies back. So this is why we ask, and we're always asking for host home logs in particular to be update and sent to us timely. One of the other thing is, again, in talking about host home requirements, a new thing that's happening, and a lot of our families have been getting phone calls from HHSC who are coming out and they are doing on-site inspections. So what they're asking for at this time is that all host home providers, whether you are related to that individual or not, they are asking that all host home providers ensure that participants have access to being able to lock their bedroom doors. This means that the individuals must have a lock on their door. There again has not been concrete information as to where or how that lock has to be, but there are certain locks where obviously you need a key for it, and there are certain locks where you can use like a key, not an actual like door key, but almost like using, I hate to say, like a kitchen knife or butter knife, where you can just twist that lock open or stick a pin in that lock and be able to unlock that room. I would say to use discretion and best judgment when it comes to the type of lock on that individual's door. We, of course, will advocate for our host homes because, of course, if you have someone who is vision impaired and they have a lock on their door, we wouldn't definitely want to have that person lose the key, or have a lock that requires an actual key from the inside or outside. So we don't want to restrict that person from being able to get out of their room, but they want to restrict you from going into that room unannounced or without permission. And so the surveyors have started making calls already to our families, and I believe they're supposed to look at all families at this time who are not blood related to those individuals, and then come back with the report to the state that will come out to us as providers, letting us know what to implement. So, therefore, every participant must have a knob that can be locked. Participants must also continue to have access to all common areas of the home, as well as access to food in the home. So what this means is that all individuals are able to access the living room, the kitchen, the backyard, the front yard, anywhere that's common, that anyone who may not have a disability, they are required to be able to have access to all those common areas. And that includes, a bed, a bathroom, and their bedroom. And so again, when we talk about their bedrooms, yes, the individuals are also supposed to have their own bedroom, not shared bedrooms with anyone. And inside that bedroom, have access to a bed and a place to store their clothing as well. And so bedroom, common areas, and access to food. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of times, depending on a person's disability, you may see some homes, or they may see some homes, or we may have some homes where food is limited, or food is locked up as a result of some type of disability that will be affecting why they can't have access to the food, or some type of behavior. For an example, an individual who may go in and excessively eat, or go in and throw food out of the refrigerator or cabinets. However, they must have access to food. If we have someone who has behaviors, who might throw food out or eat food in a very excessive way, then obviously, if we don't know, then anyone will definitely need to notify us that this is a problem. And that just means that we would, of course, get a behavior therapist in particular involved, as well as documenting that this behavior does exist. So the other part of this new host home requirement is that participants must also have room and board agreements that include how much their room and board cost, and the participant must be informed in that agreement that non-payment of room and board can result in eviction. We know that this probably raises a lot of eyebrows for families who have not experienced this, but those families where individuals reside and they are not typically related, we tend to sometimes have quite a bit of individuals in the HCS program in particular who may live with the family and they're their own guardian, so they tend to go from home to home or provider to provider, and they skip out on their room and board. That will no longer be possible for individuals to skip out. If the individual leaves that home, or a provider in their room and board is not current, then the provider will notify the service coordinator, who can then put that individual on a hold and prevent them from being able to transfer until, or also even being in the HCS program until their room and board is current. The other part of that is host homes must continue to ensure medications are secure, and host home providers are to be knowledgeable about what the participant takes, why they take it, any side effects, and you're not expected to know what they take from memory, but you are expected to be able to know that you can online research or consult with the pharmacy or any medical professional. So, with that being said, we want to continue to look at the things that the expectations that the host home providers must continue to implement. And so, again, uh, from your form, everyone has these host home service delivery logs. We will be um, providing copies of these if they're not available, but you guys are expected to continue to complete this host home delivery log, and they do match with what the expectations are. So again, if that individual does need assistance with daily living activities or skills, then you're required to assist that person with that. So that is including bathing, dressing, personal hygiene, eating, meal planning, meal preparation, housekeeping, assisting them with amputation and mobility, reinforcing any special professional therapies, assisting with the medication, conducting rehabilitation activities to teach the individual, develop or improve skills that allow the individual to live more independently, developing socially valued behaviors, integrating into the community, the use of natural supports and typical services available to the public, participating in leisure activities, securing or providing transportation for the individual, and supervising the individual's safety and security. Also, for host home providers, you guys are also required to have a high school diploma or have a GED, or both. Or if you do not have a high school diploma or a GED, you are required to take a written competency based assessment to demonstrate that you have the ability to provide host home services and the ability to document the services. You also are required to have three written references that's evidence that you have the ability to provide a safe and healthy environment for the individuals from, again, at least three people who are not related to you. And so, again, here at the bottom, we again are stressing that you must keep the daily logs. Even though we are asking for you to submit them monthly, we do have it here, and we have always had it here that host home providers will not be compensated if they do not submit those logs timely and correctly. We're going to talk a little bit more about that towards the end of this presentation. Now, the document must also indicate whether or not that person has been hospitalized, any abuse or neglect, if that's applicable. You must update us if any of those things happen. You must update us if there's changes with the medication as well. That is a requirement, or if that individual it becomes hospitalized, or if that individual becomes incarcerated. You must also conduct and document the fire drills. You must also check your water temperatures to make sure that it's not too hot, which means that the water temperature in the home cannot be above 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we also have it here on number 5. You must provide that participant with a bedroom and a bed and a place to store their personal items. And then, of course, you must ensure that the participant has access to personal items such as toiletry, food, television, and etc. As we continue, you must coordinate with support staff. That means that coordinating with the nurse, the therapist, the case manager as well in regards to scheduling visits or appointments to the doctor's office, and that cannot be delayed. You must ensure that the individual receives a physical. So, a well woman's and a well man exam is not a physical, but it is suggested annually, and you must submit evidence that that person has seen a doctor at least annually. For individuals who are not related to the clients, we require and ask and beg that if you are no longer interested in housing an individual with a disability or that's in the HCS program, that you at least give us a 30-day notice so that we can work on getting that individual moved to another home or switched over as they may want some a service that we may not be able to provide. If that is the case and you are their host home provider, you must return all of their medication and the monies that might be due to that client. So this is an issue that has come up time and time again for um, individuals who are not related to clients. If an individual moves away from your home and they move, say, on the fifth day of the month, but they have already paid their room and board for that month, and there are 30 days in the month, then the 25 days that they will not be in your home, you must return those 25 days of room and board payment, and it becomes prorated. So you're required to return that. You are also required to keep documentation as it pertains to how that person's money is being spent if they are in if you are that person's rep payee for Social Security. You're required to document how it's being spent, and you are required to save any monies in a separate bank account from your account. These monies should not be commingled together, but you will need to document how the money is spent. Any money that is remaining, if that individual leaves your home, you are required to return to Social Security, or if it's to come to our agency, return that money to our agency. So again, we will look at again this host home delivery log, and again, just really quick, I am going to type in what belongs in here. Each individual must have their first and their last name on the form, and they must have their address on the form. You must also include their local case number. It's a unique number that is assigned to the individual, uh, and it is assigned to the individual through HHSC. The individual, you must also put the week in here as well, and so the week starts on Sunday. So in our case right now, we're talking about December 11th, 2022. So week starts on Sunday. So again, you will put here exactly the dates as they are on a calendar. And these must be filled out correctly, because again, this is something that HHSC looks at when they are looking at recruitment, and it's almost like saying any little thing can cause an individual to have a recruitment. So With this individual, you can help. You're just putting your initials here as well. And if they take a bath every day, then you're going to put down that you helped give them a bath every day. If there's someone who needs help eating, like you actually literally need to feed them, then you're going to document that here. When it comes to rehabilitation services, at least once a week, and we've always said this, IIP skill development, what they are talking about is that you have worked with that individual on the goal that you and the service coordinator from whatever local authority you might be under, that you guys have worked on that at least once a week. So it doesn't have to be every day. If you took them to the park on Sunday, you want to do that. If they went to go see grandma or a family member, that's a natural support. If, again, for an example, we were talking about an individual who may go into the kitchen and excessively eat, maybe that's something that you worked on with that individual every single day. What would that look like? That may look like me saying, hey, Jennifer, hey, remember, you can't go into the refrigerator. You can't just eat that. And so you may be like, and when you see them heading towards the refrigerator, because if they've been with you for a while, you are going to pretty much know what their behavior, or should know what their behavior looks like right before they're getting ready to do it. And so you may say, hey, Jennifer, let's go play tic-tac-toe. And that's you redirecting that behavior. So you may have to do that every single day with that individual. You may or may not. If we have an individual who has mobility issues, then absolutely you're going to work with them probably every day on getting in and out of the car, the bathtub, or just things that are that they use in their daily living. If an individual is taking medications, I'm sure everyone is doing that every day. And if they're getting behavior therapy, then you should be reinforcing that every day, because again, a behavior therapist is the one who's going to teach you about really redirecting behavior. If you provided transportation, because like I said up here, we went out to participate. We went to the park, so we went to a leisure activity, and then on this day we also went to see the grandmother. On these other days we didn't go. Hopefully every day someone is supervising the safety and security. If this person needs help monitoring their health, such as checking their blood pressure or their weight every day or every other day, that's what monitoring health looks like. Monitoring the hygiene. If you're monitoring hygiene, you're probably not helping that person up here with their personal hygiene or getting dressed or bathing. Those two things would basically conflict. Now, if the individual is not in your home because they went to visit their grandmother that day, you can just say active leave, that they're gone. They spent the night with somebody else. So if they did and they're down here on active leave, then none of these things up here would be completed. Or if they're on temporary discharge because they are hospitalized or incarcerated, then we definitely want to indicate that here. But again, if they're on that, then nothing above here is going to be documented. And then for everyone here, host home care initials, you're going to always initial off every day. And so again, here we've talked about this, and you can basically look back on previous training, and you're going to indicate, what has happened with that individual. If, as we said here at the top, IP skill development, typically they're saying that person wants to remain safe in their host home setting. Jennifer is making progress towards her IP skill development and is remaining safe in her environment. Or if that person, is working on Jennifer, is making progress towards washing dishes independently, or she could be she completed this 3 out of 5 times this week. And it can just be something as simple as that. Or somewhere this week, Jennifer completed a visit with Dr. Scott, and there were no medication changes. Jennifer has gained 6 pounds. I hope not, but it's the holidays since her last visit. It can be something that simple as well. And then from there, you're going to sign your name here, and then it's going to be a signature here. So print your name, then sign your name here. And that is how we complete the host home service delivery logs. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this, and we want to again talk about the service delivery log, because we've tried to express this quite a bit, and now we are, of course, showing you guys why it's so important that we get those, but they are continuously due by the 5th of the month. So for an example, the November logs are due by December the 5th. And again, auditors, for some reason, these service delivery logs have come to the forefront now, and auditors are requesting them during audits as well as asking for them randomly. So when we fail to have the service delivery logs, then monies are being recouped. So for us, it's impossible now to submit billing for service such as host home, because it becomes an unauthorized billing, and that's how they recoup the funds. While we know our families are providing the services, the perspective of the state does not agree with the fact that we know that. They argue, and it's a valid argument, that the individual could have been hospitalized, jailed, or sadly deceased, and therefore billing should not be taking place. Because this is a reimbursement program, they are expecting that you've done the work, and then you get paid for doing the work after you submit documentation that shows that you have done the work. And so with that, I thank you for listening, and I thank you for sticking with me and doing the work and doing what it is that you do, and entrusting us to provide superior services. We lastly have already completed the 2023 payroll schedule, and so that schedule will also be coming out for our families as well. Last but certainly not least, we definitely appreciate any questions that you guys may have, as well as any feedback that you want to provide us regarding this training. It is also very important to remember that this is an ongoing situation with HHSC, and changes are being developed as well as implemented. And so some of this may change as well. So again, thank you so much. Um, we seriously thank you for all, and I mean everything that you do in serving the individuals in the HCS and Texas Home Living program. And we do not take your business nor the services that you guys provide to the individuals with disabilities for granted. I am Jennifer Willis, and I am your presenter here today. And I appreciate your time again and listening to us. If you need to contact us, our information is located here on the screen, as well as an email and our website. And again, we want to say thank you for